Welcome back, my duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. It is Tuesday. Now, before we get into our advanced list deck profile today, I want to remind everybody that on Sunday I mentioned that while I was opening those really trashy mega collectors boxes, we did end up across a full play set, kind of a play set in 2/3 of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. I am still going to be giving those away. We do have them. Obviously, we got Penny Sleeve. We've got our hard case. And that's in addition to our normal weekly giveaway. We'll be doing this. So that's fine. Talking about the rest of the giveaways, we're going to be switching away from the skill cards for a little bit. My cards dealer, Phil, has graciously offered to turn in the 3 copies of the Blue Eyes White Destiny starter deck that he bought. He kept the single, like the foil packed cards where you got them like this, where they were like secret rare with a chance at a QCR, because he was going to use those to trade with other people, and he just loves the chance at a QCR. However, the rest of the deck is still sealed, so we will be giving out one of those a week. And as a little bit of a thank you, I know that you've gotten into Magic the Gathering a little more, bud. So I've got these cool little dice here. Number 1, they got plus counters, minus counters. It's 1 through 6 as you rotate the die, as well as these little effects. So this way you remember like which cards are or which tokens have been given flying, hex, proof, whatever. So the next time you come over, bud, that's waiting for you. Today's deck profile. Okay, what are we doing? We're doing Evil Heroes. Now, again, this is more of a not so top table. This is probably something that's going to be fun to play. And that's it. So we're going to get you guys a list. Should be a 40-card main deck. And it's going to start with Elemental Hero Neos. I'm using 1 copy of Neos because I am going to be using the new Neos Evil Hero. I do believe we need him in order to play that. Plus, he just looks awesome. So give it up for that boy. We are going to be using Blaze Man in this deck. We're going to be using 1 copy. On a normal or special summon, we can add a polymerization from the deck to the hand. But during the main phase, you can activate the following effect. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except fusion. Also send 1 hero from the deck to the graveyard, 1 elemental, except Blaze Man. And if you do this card's attribute, attack and defense become the same as the monster sent until the end of the turn. This is kind of important. Just keep notice of that. We do like Blaze Man at 1. We are going to be using a copy of Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist is going to get us our quick play change spell when special summoned. On a normal summon, we're going to be able to... No, sorry, if this is sent to the graveyard, we could add 1 hero from the deck to the hand, except Shadow Mist. Again, this one is very like just generic. Like if you do look at that, it does make a difference between adding an elemental hero, Shadow Mist, or any hero. This allows to play any of the hero monsters off this. You only get 1 effect that turn and once that turn, so again, use it a little carefully. We're going to be using 3 of the Big Blue Gadget, a little reference joke for those of you who know. Stratos, when normal or special summoned, you can activate 1 of the following effects. Either you destroy spell traps on the field up to the number of heroes that you currently control, not counting himself, or you simply add 1 hero from the deck to your hand. And again, this is very blank, open-ended effect. We love it. Moving into actual Evil Heroes, I've got 2 copies of Adjusted Gold. I probably would have played a 3rd had I owned it. We can discard this card to add 1 Dark Fusion or 1 card that mentions it from the deck to the hand, except Adjusted Gold. And we can only use this effect once per turn. Cannot attack unless you control a fusion monster, which is good because he's a 4-star at 2100. And it might be a little too ugly if we just let him do what he wants to do. So again, our fusion spell, pretty searchable. And again, anything that mentions Dark Fusion. So like Dark Calling mentions Dark Fusion. I'm pretty sure the new Dark Contact does as well. We'll see when we get to those cards. So again, those are then searchable as well. So Adjusted Gold should be at 3. I only own 2. Another one I like at 2, and I actually do like this one at 2. is the new Dead End Prison. A smidge of focus, please. There we are. Again, it's one of the new ones out of the Supreme Darkness. If you were to control a fusion monster, that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion. You can special summon this from the hand. You can only special summon Evil Hero Dead End Prison once per turn this way. You can send one hero from your deck to the graveyard. If you fusion summon a hero monster this turn, this face-up card can be used as a substitute for one material mentioned by name, but all other fusion materials must be correct. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, I want you guys to take a quick second. I want you to reread that. Does not change his name to that name. This is Prisma, but it is not Prisma. It says it can be used as a substitute for anybody as long as we can throw away a hero. So, keep that in mind when we get to the extra deck. We are going to play some old school support. We are going to get Gainer in here. Simple one-of. During the main phase, you can remove this from play, banish it, select a face-up fiend that you control. It can attack twice every battle phase. This gets special summoned back in attack mode during your second standby phase after you activate this effect. So again, he's going to let somebody go pretty aggressive. Generally, this is like an endgame thing. We're going to use one copy of the new Infernal Rider. And number one, I just love the way this dude looks. The wings and everything kind of give me like a Ballardrock feel. I understand it's not Ballardrock though. 6-star, 2100, 800 defense. If this is normal or special summoned, you could add one Dark Fusion from the deck or the graveyard to your hand. This allows some recursions. You may banish this and 4 of the monsters in your graveyard to set one Super Poly from your deck. Now, I want you to keep that in mind. We do use Dead End Prison. Dead End Prison is going to have to throw somebody. If we throw this, we do set up for the future Super Poly. Just keep that in mind, all right? Additionally, you cannot special summon except hero monsters, but you can fusion summon monsters that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion with other card effects. So again, that's good. We'd be able to Super Poly our opponent's targets into things as though it were a Dark Fusion. And then these effects last until the end of your opponent's turn. So again, you set up the effect, you set the Super Poly, and then you remove the restrictions of the Super Poly Dark Fusion, and it just acts as though it were the other card. Again, it's just a good splashable one-of. Next up, I've got a copy of Malicious Edge, and of course, I had to break out the First Ed Ultimate Rare one, because it's just nice. It deals piercing damage, and if your opponent controls a monster, you can summon this by tributing a single monster instead of 2. Basically, it's just Blade Edge gone evil. Love it. Next up, I'm going to be using a single copy of the Evil Hero Sinister Necrom. You can banish this from the graveyard to special summon one Evil Hero from the hand or deck, except another copy of Necrom. You can only use this effect once per turn. We're only going to use this Lord Zed looking dude once, so not a huge deal. Another great one that we're going to want to play in multiples, we're going to want to get 2 Toxic Bubbles. Because if you're going to play the dirty Bubble Man, this is the way to go. You may choose to special summon this from the hand. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except heroes, which is fine. You can only special summon 1 Toxic Bubble once per turn this way. If this card is special summoned, you control a fusion monster that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion, you can draw 2 cards. This effect is once per turn. So again, he helps body the field. He helps us extend withdraws. Just a great card overall. Probably another one I would increase up to 3 if I had it. Moving over to like some tech stuff, we're going to rip into 2 Ash Blossoms. And again, the reason for this is quite simple. We want to limit interaction with the opponent's deck. And 2 Nibiru's, which comes in handy for 2 reasons. Number 1, take note that between this and Dead End Prison, you have a few rock type monsters in the deck. Additionally, it's still Nibiru, so nib things. Let's move to spells, shall we? First and foremost, 3 copies of A Hero Lives. This will allow us to either use Blazeman to accelerate things, or more often than not, we're actually going to go into Stratos. Stratos is going to be like a 1-card combo off this, because this will allow you to get into like Adjusted Gold, and you can discard Adjusted Gold, and you can go into other stuff. It opens a lot of avenues in this deck. And I think you all know this one, but if you control no face-up monsters, you may pay half your life points, special summoning a level 4 lower elemental hero monster from the deck. Additionally, we can discard this on later effects if we need to. Just is what it is. 2 copies Dark Calling. This is a version of Dark Fusion by nature. It does have a text line that says this. Essentially, you're going to banish cards from the hand and graveyard to special summon your evil hero fusions. Actually, it's any fiend fusion, but in this deck, that's evil heroes. Next up, we're going to be ripping into 3 copies of Dark Contact. Again, love the way this one looks, and I love how this one operates. Activate one of the effects, but you can only use each effect once per turn. So keep that in mind. You can either add Spring King Castle or Dark Fusion from your deck to your hand. Fine. Or fusion summon a fusion monster from the extra deck that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion by shuffling those materials from the field, grave, and or banishment into the deck. And this is treated as a fusion summon with Dark Fusion. So Dark Contact actually allows us, once we do start banishing things off Dark Callings and everything, to sort of recycle even our extra deck, depending on which monsters we used to make the cards. Again, you could probably lower it to 2. This is just what we play tested at, and it was fun. We do have the 1 copy of Dark Fusion. So far, again, all of these are searchable off of gold. We're going to be using 3 copies of the new Evil Assault. So again, normal play spell card, discard a card. So again, the extra hero lives, doesn't really matter. Take 1 level 4 lower evil hero monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. For the remainder of the turn after this card resolves, you may not special summon from the extra deck except heroes. Don't worry, I got you. If this card is in the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can choose to banish this card from the graveyard to add Dark Fusion from your graveyard to your hand. Each effect is once per turn. So, really, we get to discard a card to either tutor or special summon. Again, this just allows us to build up a lot of field presence real quick. And since it does have a discard effect, this is also going to allow us to eliminate any cards that are too much in our hand. This is a great way to load up the Infernal Rider or feed the Infernal Rider before we use Dark Contacts to put those cards back into our main deck. So again, just kind of keep an open mind with this. Next up, a single copy of Evil Mind. Again, this was in, I want to say, one of the Speed Duel sets. So like, this is not a hard card to get anymore. The way that it works, if you control a fiend, activate one of the effects based on the number of monsters in your opponent's graveyard. If it's at least 1, you could choose to draw a card. If it's at least 4, you may choose to add a hero or Dark Fusion from the deck to your hand. Since it's mentioned Dark Fusion, this is searchable as well. Or 10 or more monsters. You can choose to add a polymerization spell or fusion spell from the deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 per turn. Personally, I'm torn between the first 2 effects. Obviously, I like to draw 1. It's kind of like an upstart goblin that way. Without the giving your opponent 1,000 points. I do like the tutoring of any hero monster, because this is like no strings attached. You just tutor it. It's a lot like Stratos that way, so it's a good card. We are going to run 2 mask changes. Again, any hero that's on our side of the field, we can send it to the discard pile or replace it with a masked hero of the same attribute. Single copy polymerization. Of course, we're going to get the Platinum Secret in there because it just looks nice. Is this one the Platinum Secret or is this the regular Secret? I'm not exactly sure. Fusion summon a fusion monster from the extra deck using cards from your hand and field as material. It just looks good. Plus, it's on theme with the heroes on it. Single copy of the Supreme King Castle. You may fusion summon fusion monsters that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion with effects other than Dark Fusion. This allows Super Poly to do its job. Realizing this is supposed to be a 42 card deck, my Super Polys are not in here. There's supposed to be 2. Give me a second. I'll go grab them. All right, I'm back and I've got my cards. So we'll just finish out this effect. Obviously, you could use the Super Polys this way. Once per turn during damage calculation, if your Fiend monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send an evil hero from the deck or extra deck to the graveyard. And then you gain attack equal to 200 times star level, which is fine. But before that, I was supposed to show these 2 copies Super Poly, because we do a little bit of Super Poly shenanigans in the extra deck. Then last but not least, we're using traps. We're using 3. We got a single copy of Dark Supremacy once we get some focus. Target one face-up cards. Oh, sorry. Target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Dark Fusion and spells that mention it in the graveyard. Negate their effects until the end of this turn. So this is good. It's kind of like a stun move. If this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it's sent there, you may banish it, target up to 5 heroes in the graveyard, and or banishment, shuffle them back into the deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. Again, it's a good reason to cut it down to 1. You guys could probably also throw it out of the deck too if you wanted to keep your numbers a little lower. Is what it is. And then last but not least, 2 copies Infinite and Permanence, and I think you guys understand this one without me going over it. So this is the main deck. It is 42 cards, not 40 cards, as I tried to state at the beginning. Little quick mix-up. I had the Super Polys in Thursday's deck, actually. So I went ahead and pulled that off the shelf real quick so we could finish this. So go ahead, take a screen cap, or pause and make your notes. We'll be right back with the extra deck here in just a moment. All right, my friends, now to move off to the extra deck, first and foremost, let's get the fusions out of the way since there are, in fact, so many of them. First and foremost, I am using a single copy of Absolute Zero. I figure since it is the only Omni hero, I guess, attributal hero, that just requires generic hero monster plus water, Toxic Bubble is going to help us get into this. Again, we could use Blaze Man to sort of get into the attributes, which is fine. The effect here gains 500 for every face-up water monster on the field except same names. When leaves field, destroy all monsters opponent controls. Pretty strong card. Next, we're going to be using the Elemental Hero, Flame Wingman, Infernal Rage. The reason we're going to be doing this is it's just 2 Elemental Heroes with different attributes. Again, if you go back through this, we have light, we have dark, we have wind, we have fire. So it's not too hard to make this guy. Plus, you got to consider Absolute Zero if you're going to go off of using other fusions as well. So we also can include water, plus it would count for the whole leaving the field business. The effects here must be fusion summoned. If this is special summoned, you can add 1 card with favorite in the name from the deck or the graveyard. We're not going to worry about that. You can tribute this card that was fusion summoned using a normal monsters as material, which again we can do with Neos. 2 special summon 1 level 7 or lower elemental hero monster from the deck or extra deck. They cannot be normal summoned or set, ignoring conditions. You can use each effect once per turn. It's just kind of fun. Again, like you're gonna maybe, yeah, I don't think I can actually play the Neos off that now that I'm like rereading it. So like you toss this one, I guess. I'm sorry. One that could not normally be summoned. That's just not gonna work here. So I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there. Just trying to play something fun. We do have Dark Gaia. Again, I mentioned the rocks between the Dead End Prison and our Nibiru. So again, you guys know how this works. Add up the stats, and when it attacks, anything that's face down flips without flip effects resolving. And then, of course, if you go for the old school combo, then like Gainer wants to go ahead and banish, give this boy 2 attacks every round. We're going to run a single copy of Darkest Night. So this is a Fiend plus Warrior, so any of the evils plus any of the elementals. Must first be special summoned with Dark Fusion monsters your opponent controls. Lose attack equal to the original total, lose attack equal to the total original attack of the materials used for this card's fusion. So again, this is good. Can make a second attack during each battle phase. This is good. If this face-up special summoned card in its owner's control leaves by an opponent's card, you can target 1 Fiend or Warrior in your graveyard, special summon it back in defense mode. And again, like one of the big things that you could do is like, again, with Neos here, we can go for a big drain on that. I am using 2 copies of Backfire, and the reason that we can use the Backfire is because it's Avion or Burstinatrix plus Hero. And as we've already said, Dead End Prison can count as a material that's named. So without having or needing to run Avion or Burstinatrix, we can in fact get into this fusion. Must be played with Dark Fusion. If special summoned, you can add 1 Dark Fusion or card that mentions it from deck or grave to hand, except fusion monsters. If your hero monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict 200 to the opponent. Or sorry, 2100 to the opponent. You can use each effect once per turn. Again, it's just an excellent card, and I love the art. It's a good stance for it. Single copy Malicious Fiend. Again, we can substitute Malicious Edge in this by using the Dead End Prison. And then any level 6 or higher Fiend, which again could be any one of the other fusion monsters. So again, it's just fun. Cannot be special summoned except Dark Fusion. During the opponent's battle phase, all monsters they control are changed to face-up attack, and they must attack this card if possible. So again, he's just kind of weird. He's kind of big. Does a lot of stuff. Single copy Neos Lord because I only had one. Come to think of it, guys, if you got a second one, replace my Flame Wingman with this. This is Neos, or 1 fusion card that mentions it, and 1 effect monster on the field. Now, again, Dead End Prison and Neos are both going to count for the name. So again, it doesn't matter if you go to 2. This is fine. Must be special summoned with Dark Fusion. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. When this is special summoned or a monster is sent to the opponent's grave while this is on the field. Target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Take control of it. Each effect is once per turn, and I need you guys to run back to that last effect and understand it did not say till the end of the turn. That's just your monster now. So again, double Neos Lord. And what we'll do is we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. That is the best substitute that we can do with what we've done. Okay, I just goofed. That's what happened. We get a couple masked heroes. I do play 1 acid. Again, acid's good. When you play into him, destroy all spell traps the opponent controls. And if you do, all monsters they control lose 300 attack. Now, generally speaking, a lot of players used to play Absolute Zero to go into Acid. Still valid. Will destroy all their monsters, will destroy all their spell traps, all at the same time. But this is just another good way for you guys to deal with our boy Toxic Bubble. Where did he go? I mean, I put him in alphabetical for a reason. So we can go ahead, we could do Toxic Bubble. And again, we are using the original mask change, which just targets a face-up hero. As opposed to Mask Change 2, which works for non-heroes. So again, we can do that. I think you guys understand why Dark Law is in here, because Dark Law is just really good at setting up. Anytime the opponent goes to add a card or cards from their deck to their hand outside of the draw phase, you get to like, is it a random or banish 1 random from the opponent's hand. When they do that, anything that they send to the graveyard gets banished instead. It's just all around good. We are going to use the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Dark is, again, like one of the more dominant types that you're going to see out there. So, with all the dark monsters and double super poly, this makes sense. Last fusion monster we're going to be running is Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. Partially because it's just cool art, and partially because it's 1 elemental hero fusion monster plus 1 or more warriors. Did we finally get the focus? Can we just a smidge? Okay, I'm going to start reading it, and then it's probably just going to autofocus. So, must be fusion summoned. Gains 300 attack per material used for the summon. Can make a number of attacks on monsters each battle phase up to the number of fusion monsters used as material for its summon. After damage calculation, if this card battled a monster, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict damage to the opponent equal to its original attack. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, special summon a warrior from the hand or deck. So again, it's not terrible. It's definitely a goofball strategy. And again, this is supposed to be more of a casual build. So again, it feels at home. Going into the links, we're going to use 3 links. We're going to use 1 copy Infernal Devicer. So 2 heroes, double point backwards. If link summoned, reveal hero fusion monster in extra deck. If do, add up to 2 materials listed on it with different names from the deck to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this except heroes. Once per turn effect. Fiend monsters it points to gain attack and defense equal to its level times 100. So again, the bigger the monster is, the bigger the power bonus here. So again, just good stuff. And then I got 2 Wonder Drivers. Wonder Driver is, again, another link 2, requiring 2 heroes. If a hero monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this points to, target 1 polymerization spell card, 1 fusion spell card, or 1 change quick play spell card in your graveyard, set the target. You can only activate this effect of Wonder Driver once per turn, and if it is destroyed by battle, sent to the graveyard, or if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 hero monster from your hand. So again, it's going to let us get into the spells a little more rapidly and play into more of the fusion side of the extra deck. So again, made 2 mistakes. I didn't have the super polys in here. I apologize for that. And 2, I misread my elemental hero, so we're just swapping that over to a second Dark Muse. So this is the deck, guys. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. But more importantly, I want you guys to go out. I want you guys to have an excellent day. And I want to see you guys on the next video, all right? Till then, see you later.